Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. We got a fun one for you today. We've got this animated testimonial slider. Testimonial slider is a great thing to have on your site. As you can see, it's rolling around from one testimonial to the other. Little images in the background is changing. I popped a little icon up on the top right hand side. I also put my little logo down here that if you click on it, you can take people somewhere. I've just got it going down to the section below, but you can take them anywhere on the web you want with that link, and it won't affect the slider here. And of course, it'll work just as well on tablet and mobile. If I hit my F12 key, I'm using Google Chrome here. Here it is on an iPad. As you can see, it's rolling around nicely, and our little logo is still going to link where we want it to go. Now let's have a look on a mobile phone. I've taken that little quote mark down a little bit in opacity for mobile, and we still got our little logo there. And again, you tap on it, it's going to take you where you want to take your people. Great. Well, let's get rid of this, and we'll get rid of this, and we'll start from scratch. I'm going to enable my visual builder, and let's go down. I'll get rid of this whole row. We'll start from scratch. Okay, I've got a single section in here, the blue tab. I'm going to add a new row, the green button to add a row. I'm just going to have a single column in mind. Obviously, make yours as big or as small as you want. In it, I'm going to put a slider module. Down here, we have a slider. Now, it puts in a couple of slides for you. I'm going to get rid of the second one. So we're just working on the first one here. And it's a traditional sort of slide, call to action slide with a big title, some text and a button. Don't really want a button on mine. Don't really want a title. All I want is the testimonial, then the person that's made the testimonial and their position in the company. I've gone over to my friend ChatGPT over here, and I've generated some fake testimonials because I haven't got any real ones. So that's what I'll be using for mine today. So I'm going to go into the first slide here. Little cog to go into the slide. The title is what we're going to use for our actual testimonial. I don't want a button to get rid of the button. Just do that. Now, if you want a button, that's fine. Just leave it there and have it say what you want it to say. I'm going to take my first little testimonial here. I'm going to copy it. Like I say, I'm going to put it where the title is. Now, that's way too big, but of course we can change that however we want. So let's do that. I'm going to go over to design. Here's the title text. I'm going to make it perhaps an H5. I'm going to make it light. I'm going to make it an awful lot smaller. Let's make it perhaps 18 pixels. That's okay. A little too close together. I'm going to adjust the line height just down here. I've just rolled down a little bit. Way too much there. Let's take it back to how it was. I'm going to increment up with the little arrows here. Something like that. Maybe one more. Fantastic. So I've got my little testimonial in there. But I don't want her name. I'm going to put that on a separate line there. So if we go back to our content there on the first tab, to our text, I'm going to slide over to where her name was. I'm going to cut this bit out. Control X to cut. So we're just left with that. I think I might justify that on the left-hand side, perhaps. Where the content is, this is where I'm going to put her name. And position. So I'm going to paste it back in there. Control V. There it is. Don't need that little line there. I'm going to put the actual position on a separate line. I'm going to get rid of that comma right there. And let's perhaps make this bold. We could even make it into perhaps a heading 3. So it stands out a bit more. So we've got her title and her name there. Let's go back into the design. I'm actually going to justify this. Let's go back into our title text. Roll down a little bit. And we've got justify over here. Fantastic. If you like leaving that there, that's fine. I think I might justify that also so it's on the left-hand side, or I could just left align that if we roll down a little bit more. Here's the body text. We can just left align it like that. If you hit justify, it won't make much difference. One other thing you could do this with a lot of testimonials, you actually see it. It used to be all testimonials were written in Georgia italic. Not so sure about that now, but if you wanted to do that, go back into your title text. But that's, of course, entirely up to you. Okay, well, let's make this background a little more interesting. To do that, go back to content. Background's always under content. I'm going to change that color to perhaps a blue. Obviously, make yours how you wish. And I'm going to also add an image. Third tab along is background image. I'll throw in some of the same ones I threw in there before. I'm just going to grab that image. But of course, that image makes it a little harder to read this. So I'm going to blend it with that blue color. To do that, we can roll down a little bit. Background image blend. I'm going to switch it from normal to multiply. That way that text is really easy to read, but we can still see that image in the background. And plus it's kind of the color of our logo. Now, of course, you can darken it down or lighten it up by going back into the color and changing it how you wish. Just darken that down a little bit, make it even more easy to read. And of course, use whatever color you want. That's great. Well, now we've got one, it's really easy to duplicate it. I'll save it. We've gone back to the main slider settings. Here's our first slide. Just going to duplicate it. 2 little squares there to duplicate. Going to go into my second one, a little cog. In the text, I'm going to switch out what I've got there for our next testimonial. Double click to select it all. Hit Control V to paste it in there. I've got my second one. Of course, we need to change the name because it's a different person. Michael Lee, CEO. So again, I'm going to copy everything just down here. I'm going to leave the name where it is right there, because if I just delete this and we grab the name itself, Control X to cut, paste it over the top of this, it'll have the same formatting, so we don't need to change anything apart from getting rid of that comma there. And there's our second one. I'm going to do exactly the same for 3 and 4. No point you watching me do that, so I'll pause this video and do those quickly exactly the same way. I'm going to save this back into the main slider settings, duplicate. What I failed to show you in the last one is I changed out the image in each of these as well. So I did that down in background where we put our original image, just went into that image, clicked on it, and chucked in a different image. So we've got a slightly different background on each of those. Fantastic. Well, we'll get this automating in a moment. At the moment it's manual. They can switch through with their little arrows there, or they got pagination dots down the bottom. Just to make it a little more like a testimonial though, I'm going to absolutely position a little icon up here, or you can put yours wherever you want. To do that, I'm going to hit the little plus to add a new module. I'm going to roll down, find an icon module. Let's look for perhaps a quote. And I'm going to use that one right there. It's popped it in down there. That's not much use to us down there. Like I say, I want to kind of put mine up on the right hand side here. We can do that with a bit of absolute positioning. If we go over to advanced and position, change it from default to absolute, it's kind of disappeared. Now it's because it's on the top left hand side, but we can't see it. Let's put it on the top right hand side. Now, the reason we can't see it is because the z-index, and that dictates how layers work. Higher z-index numbers will appear in front, lower at the back. If we pull this up, it should appear. There it is right there. Now, that's almost where I want it. And of course, you can position this wherever you want. It doesn't have to be actually inside. You can put it in the middle. I've seen them like this in the middle. And then you can use a bit of vertical offset to actually position it sort of half in, half out. You can increment up and down with these to do the fine tuning. But for me today, I want it on the right hand side. Let's get rid of that. And let's perhaps give it 10 pixels. And 10 pixels out from the side. Obviously, positioning is up to you. That's great. But the actual color, let's go into our design and our icon. I'm going to make mine white. But I'm going to take the opacity down so it's not quite as in your face. Click on the color. Find a variegated slider here. We can just roll that one down so it's a bit more subtle like that. And if we have a look on tablet and mobile and it's too much in a while, I know I took it a bit down even further than that for mobile, just purely so it didn't interfere with the writing there. Great. And just to finish off, I thought I'd chuck my little logo on the side here and have it linked somewhere. You can have it linked to your About You. I'm just going to link it to this little section down here. I'm sure you figured this out already. We're going to add another little module. I'm going to use an image module for this. Going to click on the placeholder. I'm going to throw in my little System 22 logo there, the square one. And again, it's not where I want it. So again, we're going to go over to Advanced and Positioning. We're going to absolutely position it. Switch it from default to absolute. And again, it's disappeared. Should be on the top left somewhere up here. So we'll flip that Z index up a bit till we can see it. Perfect. I want mine on the bottom left this time. And it's still way too big. So what I'm going to do is go back up into my design and sizing. Here's the width right here. It's a percentage, which is good. So I'm going to take the percentage down so it's about the size I want it, something like that perhaps. Then again, I'm going to go back to my positioning, over in Advanced, down to Position again, and we'll offset it, I think by perhaps the same amount, 10 pixels. And you can change the position this on tablet and mobile by rolling over. There's a little icon there. Looks like a mobile phone. Click on it. You can have completely different positions for tablet and mobile. And of course, you can hide this on any of those devices if you decide it's in the way. Now, just for a bit of fun, I thought I'd link this to somewhere. And when you hover over images, they'll give you a little image title like that. I don't want that. While we're in Advanced, there's the attributes. I'm going to get rid of that so when they roll over it, it doesn't pop up. Let's add a link. You can always add a link with most modules back in Content and Link right here. I've got a section down the bottom. In fact, it's one of my rows down the bottom there with a CSS ID of GAL, G-A-L, shorthand for gallery for me. So I'm going to link to that. To link to any CSS ID, we put a hashtag in there and the name of the CSS ID, which is GAL. And I'll show you that in just a moment. Okay. We need to automate this slider. In fact, I'll show you that now, else I'll forget. If I go down to this section here, the green tab for a section, I've given it a CSS ID over in Advanced, CSS IDs and classes of GAL. And to link that little logo so it comes to here, I just gave it a link, a hashtag, and this CSS ID right there. Great. Well, let's animate this slider. Couldn't be easier. We're going to go back into our slider module here, over to Design. Roll down to the bottom. Here's Animation. If we open it up, you'll see Automatic Animation. Now, if you don't see that, and this question always pops up when I do sliders, if you don't see that, the chances are you're in one of your slides, because if I go into one of my slides, it looks very similar, but if we go into the design, there's no animation at the bottom, and I always have a question that I can't find animation. If that's the case, you're probably in one of your slides. Just hit the little check mark. It takes you back to the main slider settings. If you go to Design Now, roll down, you'll find that animation. So I'm going to turn Automatic Animation on. The default's 7,000 milliseconds, which is 7 seconds, which I think is enough to get them to be able to see that and read it if they want to. And the good thing about it, automatically, if they put their mouse on it, it'll stop rolling. If you want it to keep rolling, you can turn this from off to on. But I like the way it stops when they put the mouse over it because it gives them a chance to read everything and click on any links you might have. So we're actually done with this. Let's save our changes now. We'll hit the little purple button, Save Draft or Publish if you're ready. And let's exit the Visual Builder. And there's our little slider. Every 7 seconds, it should roll around. Fantastic. And they got their little arrows they can increment it with, or the little dots will increment them forward too. We've got our little icon up there. That's a quote mark, sort of telling them it's a testimonial. While my mouse is on it, it's not going to keep going, which is great because they can read everything. And I've got that little link that should take us, when I click on it, down to our little gallery below there. Fantastic. We've got these crazy night cafe images down there. So there it is. Let's just check it out on tablet and mobile. I'm going to hit my F12 key. And here it is on the mobile. What I was saying about that logo, if you wanted to take the opacity down or hide it, you can do that on mobile if you want to, if you think it's interfering with the text, which I think it is a little bit there. I might take that opacity down a little bit. Let's have a look on an iPad. That's fine. It's not interfering at all there. And of course, our little button's still going to take them down to the gallery or wherever it is you want to take them with your little icon button there. Great. Well, let's just adjust this quickly for mobile. For anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about there, I'll re-enable the visual builder. And we'll go down. Now, because we've absolutely positioned this, you may have trouble getting to it. In this case, we're okay. I can get to it. But if you do have trouble, hit the little purple button. You can go into what they call wireframe mode on the bottom left-hand side there. It'll take you to the back-end mode, which is how we used to edit back in the day with Divi 2. I'm going to go into the icon itself. We can flip back to whatever view you want. I actually want the mobile view. Roll back up to the mobile there. That's showing my icon a lot bigger than it is. You saw it on the actual Google Live preview. It was down here, not in the way. There's our icon. Let's go to design an icon. And then we'll click on the icon color. Let's hit the little mobile phone icon. Make sure we're on that one. Click on the color. We can adjust it just for the mobile. Let's take it down so it's still barely visible there, just like that. That way it doesn't interfere with the writing. We'll save that. We'll save draft or publish again if you're ready. And we'll exit the visual builder. And there's our little testimonial slider. As we saw before, it's going to roll around every 7 seconds. Let's just check that again on tablet. Here we are on the mobile, and you can see that icon is a lot less intrusive there. Fantastic. And of course, our little buttons are going to take us down to our gallery. Let's get rid of this now. So there you go, guys. There's how to create an animated testimonial slider with the Divi theme. I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them for you or make a little demo video like this one. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.